Good evening. My name is Manuel Da Silva Jr., and I am going to be applying materials to form the Gold Rib Hares Ear. And this is just an update video for the people that went to our class. I'm going to form a V in my thread. I'm going to wrap forward, then I'm going to wrap back over my previous winds and establish a small thread base for the lead wire that we're going to use for weight. Now inside our kit bag, you had a piece of lead wire, a piece of gold oval tinsel, and a mallard flank feather. Going to be working with the lead wire first. I'm going to take 4 or 5 wraps of lead wire, apply that to the hook, and I'm just going to take my heavy working scissors, and I'm going to just cut off the excess lead wire. And using the side of my scissors, I'm going to flatten the lead wire so it doesn't cut my thread. Okay. Once that's accomplished, we're going to establish our little thread tapers in the front and in back of the lead wire. We do that by establishing it with thread, just winding back and forth. And once we get over our thread, we're going to aggressively spiral forward so we can go back and forth with our thread. If you try to go with too tight a wrap, it'll go in between the lead wire and it'll just spread out. Okay, I want to establish those wedges in front and in back. And this will also stop the lead wire from chucking back and forth when you're false casting. Okay, and half hitch. And again, in our class format, we half hitch between every procedure. All right, next item of business is going to be our tail. I've already prepared a mallard flank feather. Going to peel it down around the lower part of it. And I'm going to keep the barbels on the stem and comb them till they're straight across. All the tips are even. And I'm going to cut off the excess feather. I'm going to measure that on top of the hook shank. Once I've measured it, I'm going to switch hands. Catch that on top of the hook shank, wrap back to tail, and I want to catch underneath the tail. And then wrap forward to hook point. Cut off my excess butts. Material angle forward. Okay, wrap those down and half hitch. Next item of business is going to be the gold oval tinsel. I'm going to leave it a little bit long in my fingertips. I'm going to catch it right on top of the hook shank. I'm going to bend the little tab that I have going forward back. And I'm going to wrap in front. And I'm going to wrap back, binding it down. I'm going to wrap all the way to tail position. And wrap forward a few wraps and half hitch. Now, using the wax cake that is supplied in our toolkit, I'm going to re-energize the wax and the thread that's there. And one of the bulk materials that was supplied to the table was the blended rabbit, natural gray. I'm going to take very small pinches and spinning in one direction only. I'm going to apply it to the thread. bit heavier up on the top. Okay. And now we're just going to take our dubbing rope, and we're going to form our body. I want to get approximately about halfway up, or a little more. Establishing that. Then half hitch. Then going to rib the body with the gold oval tinsel. Taking one wrap around on the back. Then angling my gold oval tinsel forward. I'm going to allow the oval tinsel to spiral up the body. And once we get to the thread, we're going to stop spiraling. I'm going to switch over. So now it's in my right hand, and I'm going to execute a thread pinch. Okay, once that's caught, I'm just going to take my oval tinsel, now angling back towards the bend of the hook. I'm going to wrap in front of it. Then I'm going to wrap back over that, my gold oval tinsel, and cut short. Again, when you cut tinsel or any other wire, use the core of your scissors. Okay, another half hitch. That locks in that work. Okay. All right, I'm now going to take my thread, wrap all the way back to the eye, then start wrapping back towards the bend of the hook, stop, give myself some slack, come back down, and I'm going to wrap over the two threads, establishing the loop. Then I'm going to wrap my thread forward, back to the eye of the hook, and then back towards the bend of the hook a little bit, and stop. I'm going to take the hook, the loop, and attach it to my dubbing spinner. Had some excess thread there. Okay, now that it's attached to my dubbing spinner, I'm going to wrap my thread back halfway and half hitch. Now that's locked. Now a small tuft of fur from the hare's mask. Again, as I explained in class, you always want to clip close to the hide. I'm going to take and trim off a lot of this fuzz, because this is just going to get in our way. Okay. All right, I'm going to stand that down in front of me. I'm going to take my dubbing loop. I'm going to open it up. Okay. And I'd like to take those little lines that I have. Okay, all right, we'll just leave them for now. What we're going to do is establish a loop. We're going to open it up. And we want to energize. I usually just energize one side of the loop. I then take my fur, I apply it into the loop, and then I start to open it. Allowing the loop to close in on those fibers. I don't need a lot because we're just using it as a collar. Okay, that should be enough. Now I'm just going to take my dubbing spinner, start spinning my loop, and once I've got a dozen or so loops on it, I'm going to just start pulling off some of the extra fuzz because it's just going to get in our way. All right, that's all cleaned up. Spin that up nice and tight, and then take our loop and start to wrap towards our thread. Nice tight wraps. Once I get to the thread, I'm going to pull that back. I have a little sponge here. I'm dampening my fingertips to help pull the fibers back. I'll just take a couple more wraps of the loop. Then I'll just, angling it forward, I'll come in on the back side of it, execute a thread pinch to lock it down, cut off my excess thread, take the thread all the way to the eye of the hook, and then wrap back and half hitch. We are then going to use the rest of the mallard feather that we were working with. I'm going to clean it up a little bit and just make a small V out of it. And apply that right to the top of the hook. Take a couple of wraps. And I want to draw that in so that the feather goes underneath the wraps. And I'm satisfied with that. I'll take a couple of firm wraps to lock it in, and now I'll cut off the excess stem. Take my thread all the way to the eye of the hook, wrap back, and execute 3 or 4 half hitches. And that's the way we were locking the head of the fly down in class. Okay. All right. And again, the way I cut off, I'd like to come underneath nice and tight. Then I'm going to take my scissors and coming directly in on the back, straight in, about halfway, cutting my mallard, and then glue up the head of the fly, and we're done. I'm going to use my bodkin to transfer the glue from the brush to the head of the fly because the brush just puts too much material on. And there is our gold ribbed hare's ear that we tied in class.